The purpose of this video tutorial is to focus on the investigation mode contained within ADAPT RC2010. The investigation mode is a useful tool for determining the capacity of existing or in-place reinforcement and comparing that with moments generated from loading or moments generated by user input. To begin the use of the investigation mode, the user will input all data associated with the beam using the editor. Once all of the data has been input, the user will generate a solution for the system. The solution for the beam system will include generated reinforcement, both provided and required. Once the solution has been generated by ADAPT RC, the user can go to Options, Investigation Mode, and here we see three modes. The first mode being Investigate Capacity for Still Provided. The second investigates capacity and compares with design loading. And the third is to investigate capacity and compare with the design moment. For the first option, the program will generate design capacities for the rebar selected. We'll look at this option first. We say OK. We're going to edit the investigation data. And here we have tabular format for input regarding the rebar. We can select from required rebar, populate the tabular input for the required rebar generated from ADAPT RC. We can also generate the rebar from provided rebar. This is the rebar that the program actually provides in ADAPT RC. Or we can clear this and we can enter our own specific rebar. I'm going to clear that, and I'm going to use the required rebar from ADAPT RC. Notice that we have the tabular input for each span. I'll say OK, execute the investigation mode. Once this is complete, we can view the results of the execution. If we go to View, Investigation Results, Moments, here we see the capacity at each station along each span. Gives us the positive and the negative moment capacities for each span. We can also view the input for the rebar. Go to Rebar, and the rebar that was selected for use in the investigation mode is reported at each station for each span. We're now going to switch to the second option. In order to do this, we'll go back to Options, Investigation Mode. We'll select Investigate Capacity and compare with design loading. We're going to go ahead and execute the analysis again for the main design. Once the analysis is complete, we can go ahead, we can enter the investigation data again. Here you see that the rebar that was selected the first round is still applied in the input table. We're just going to leave that as it is, say OK, and execute the investigation again. Once that is complete, we'll go back to View, Investigation Results. Here we have Moments, Rebar, and there's another selection, Deflections. For options 2 and 3, the program will also report deflections. If we go to Moments, we can see again that the capacity is shown. Note that the actual applied moment is not listed in this report. In order for the applied moment to be generated, option 3 has to be selected first and executed first, and then you can switch back to option 2 for the moments to be reported. We'll close that. Again, we can view rebar that was selected for use in the investigation mode. And then the third option is deflections. This reports the deflections at every station along each span and incorporates the use of the rebar to calculate those deflections. We'll now look at the third option available for the investigation mode. This is to investigate the capacity and compare this with the design moment. Select that option, say OK. We're going to run the analysis again for the main system. Once that analysis is complete, we're going to go ahead and edit the investigation data again. Notice now that we have two tabs. One is for the steel input, and one is for moment. For the moment, you can manually enter the moment for any station along each span, or you can generate the moment envelope from the solution of the main system. We're going to select moment envelope. We'll say OK, and we'll run that execution. If we go back to the view, investigation results moments, now we can see that the demand moment is shown along each span. And the capacity, the program will also report the demand capacity ratio for each span. If a change is made to the design loading or any other component within the main model, the user has the option to recall the moments and/or the still that they used in the previous run for the next investigation mode. We're going to go to the input of the main model, and I'm going to select the loading, and for my live load I'm going to change the live load to 100 PSF for each span. And I'll say OK. I'm going to run the main execution again. Once that has been completed, we're going to go back to the data for the investigation mode. We're going to keep the still as it was previous. This still is likely not sufficient for the new moments. So if we go to moment, and then we will hit moment envelope, notice that the moments increased. I'll say OK. I will run that execution. And if I view the results for the moments, you can see that my demand capacity ratio is over 1, meaning I'm overstressed in those regions. That's because we didn't change the rebar, we didn't update the reinforcement. We're going to close that. If we go back to the input, and now we're going to say from required, under the moments tab we'll leave the moments the same, say OK. Run the investigation mode again, and we'll go back to view, investigation results, moments, and we can see now that the demand capacity ratio is less than 1. This concludes the video tutorial for use of the investigation mode in ADAPT RC 2010.